What's up, guys? Welcome back to Modern Mining. Today I've got some somewhat unfortunate news for us GPU miners. So Aleo ASICs have basically been announced. There's an iceriver unit and a goldshell unit. These are listed on Crypto Miner Bros right now. I don't necessarily recommend getting them. There's a lot of risk that goes into them, and Aleo has not been a strong coin as of late. But regardless, this video is about GPU mining. And when Aleo gets taken over by ASICS, that's going to be very bad for GPU miners. But in the meantime, we need to do a few things down here because I need to check what my actual farm profitability is right now. I just got hit with a $600 power bill, which is fine if we're making money, but if my rigs aren't really making money, then I don't need to be paying that much for power out of pocket each month. It just doesn't make much sense. So we are going to check all my rigs and see if they're profitable or not. And if they're not, then we're gonna make some moves. Now I'm a little nervous to see what those calculations come out at because Zealous is at like $4.50 right now. It's been dropping pretty significantly along with the rest of the market. So let's get into it after a quick word from our sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by Crypto Miner Bros. 2025 is going to be an electric year for crypto mining. Right now might be the last time to get a good deal on ASIC miners before the prices start to rise. Crypto Miner Bros has all the most profitable ASICs from the most popular brands, including Jazz Miner, iceriver, Bitmain. Price you see is the final price you pay, no hidden fees or customs, which is super nice. Use code MODERN to get $70 off every item in your cart, regardless of price. I'll leave links down below to my favorite miners, and with that, let's get back into it. That was the first act of business, getting this garage airtight again, because we are about to have some 4-degree high temperatures, 4-degree Fahrenheit in Kentucky. For you Celsius people, that's like -15. So definitely need to start warming this place up. The garage is 76 right now. I expect this to climb to around 90 plus, given a few hours. So what else is going on? I did a live stream yesterday on, I'm doing a test right now on NiceHash versus Cryptex versus unminable, on which is the best to accumulate Bitcoin with your mining farm. And I'm super curious to see what the results are. Just a hint, so far it looks like unminable might be the winner, which is crazy because a lot of people have given unminable a lot of crap for their fees, me included. So super interested to see the results of what that test brings. But in the middle of that test, you'll notice I've got a bunch of junk land here, junk land on my counter. That's because 1 hour into the test, I literally said, hopefully there's no crashes because it's going to ruin the test. This rainbow rig started having all kinds of issues to the point where I had to swap the power supply. I had to unplug every single GPU riser up here and down here. And I finally ended up getting it working again. But I did have to switch the power supply and a bunch of other stuff. I mean, it wasn't just your typical GPU dropped. It was quite a bad issue. Now, thankfully, it is back up and running, and I'm just gonna let that rig run for probably an extra hour to get accurate results on that. But yeah, I even got out another motherboard. I mean, I was very close to just basically swapping a whole new rig onto it. So shortly, we're gonna hop on the computer and see what our profitability looks like. It looks like we are running 4,400 watts on this setup right here. And that is all 3 of my GPU mining rigs, or 4, and my Warthog rig. So this is a 5900X and a 3070. So we will include this in the profits because that's also on the same circuit. So I'll just tell you guys right now in advance, if we're not profitable, what is my plan? I'm going to probably be shutting off this rig and just letting these other 3 run. And right now they're accumulating Bitcoin, mining Zealous, and getting switched into Bitcoin. Now I'm gonna do that because this rig has a couple Hynix cards on it. And Hynix cards are less efficient on Zealous than Samsung cards. And the name of the game when profitability is very low is efficiency. So I need to make sure that my mining farm is efficient as possible. And I know for a fact that that rig is definitely my least efficient of all the ones I have, mainly because of those two Hynix cards, but also I'm taking the same amount of power on that motherboard as I am on this motherboard, but that motherboard is only sporting 6 cards, whereas this motherboard is sporting 12. That's small thing, but it does add up. Also, those are LED fans. I don't know what the wattage is on those. Very small still, but all that stuff kind of adds up. And with my power bill having been $600, if I am significantly unprofitable, then that will be when I turn off. Now, there's a lot of debate in the crypto mining community about, oh, you should never really turn off your mining rigs. But from a purely financial business standpoint, if you are significantly negative, so not like 50 cents or something like that, but losing multiple dollars a day, and obviously it also depends on your situation. If you have a massive mining farm, then a couple dollars a day is nothing. But if you're small fry, then if you're losing a couple dollars a day or $5 a day, it makes more sense to turn your rigs off and buy the coin, because you're going to be getting that extra $5 in coin buying it than you would burning the power. Now, those calculations are also different during the winter because, of course, I'm using this to heat my house. But I have other miners now that can heat my house. All my ASIC miners are still at least break even or semi-profitable, so I can still use those. So the one other change I want to quickly make in regards to heating my house before this crazy cold temperature comes is this miner. If you remember, I set it up in the office. Office was getting way too hot with that and the AL0s. It was getting like 76 degrees. Granted, it would probably be fine now since it's going to get so cold. So I do have this in the basement bedroom. And if you've been a fan of the channel for a long time, I'll put a video up here for if you weren't a fan for a long time. I used to have a mining rig down here during the winter, but I don't anymore. I just put this guy down here, and this room's pretty hot. I wish I had a temperature sensor in here. But I am gonna move this thing upstairs right now because we normally are sitting upstairs and living upstairs, and that's where I want the heat to be. And this thing seriously pumps out some heat. So let's get this thing moved up there. All right, we'll carry this bad boy upstairs. Special thanks to Bree. It's the first time we've ever had camera help on the channel. Bring it in here. And I think this one we'll just set up over in this corner to keep the kitchen nice and warm. So let's set this right here. And that's the great thing about these home miners is you just plug them in and they run on Wi-Fi. So super easy to move them wherever you want. And just like that, should be good to go. So now we've got the Jazz miner right here and the DG Home 1 right here. Just enough heat to hopefully keep this upstairs about 70 degrees without even having to turn the heat on, despite it being like 4 degrees outside. All right, guys, so let's do some profitability calculations. Am I profitable on my GPUs? And if not, then we got to take some actions downstairs. So the reason GPU mining profitability is hurting so bad right now is mainly 2 reasons. And unfortunately, it's probably going to get worse. Zealous is down 50% over the last 30 days. This is the coin I've been mining essentially the whole time. And also Aleo is down 50% the last 30 days. So that is basically taking all of the mining revenue that miners were making, or GPU miners were making a month ago, and cutting it in half. So unless half of the GPU miners in the world turned off their machines, then we're basically making 50% less than we did last month. And so that's where all this kind of pain is coming from, and it's getting to the point where my farm is almost not profitable, but that's what we're going to figure out right now. So if we go by the calculators, what does that say? Are we profitable by the calculators at least? So my farm is all over the place because I'm doing that experiment right now, but we should still be able to add these 3 hash rate numbers here and get my total Zealous hash rate. So 327 plus 346. So 1171 is my Zealous hash rate. Let's put that into the calculator here on hash rate NO. And if we look for Zealous on here and we put in 1171, and then our wattage is, we'll do 4,400, even though the Warthog rig is still on that circuit. We'll just do it like this for now. And let's see what this says. We are losing a $1.31 a day like that. But if we take into account our warthog, let's see how much warthog we are generating per day. And it looks like we are generating, this is my hero miners page. You can see I'm making about a little over 1.1 warthog per day, and that comes out to be around 75 cents. So when you calculate that in as well, my whole farm downstairs is losing about 60 cents a day. So that's pretty sad because that's a lot of hardware and it's just not making a profit right now. But that's where GPU mining has been all year. It's been a battle of some weeks are super good, then the market turns around for a few weeks, and then you're like right on that unprofitable line at 11-cent power. So that's theoretically what we're actually losing. But if we look at our actual K1 pool, how much coins we're mining per day, this even paints a slightly grimmer picture. So the last 2 days that I had my whole farm on K1 pool on Zealous, I was getting a little over 2 Zealous a day, which was about $9.6. So if we take $9.6 and we add the 75 cents that we are getting from our Warthog rig, we're generating about $10.35 in crypto every single day. But let's go into here and calculate how much power we're burning. So we're burning 4,400 watts, 24 hours a day. That is 105.6 kilowatt hours. And if we multiply that by my power rate, it's $11.6. So how does that compare to our actual real life earnings? Again, it's like we're losing about $1.30. So that brings me to what do we do next? And that's where, unfortunately, I think I'm probably going to be turning off that top rig for a couple reasons. If it wasn't for my $600 power bill that just hit, I would probably leave it on because losing $1 a day is not really important when I'm still yielding coins, and I do expect them to go up in 2025. But I have other miners that are more profitable, and so I just added that DG Home 1 to my mining farm, and that thing uses 700 watts, so that's like an additional $50 a month in power. I would like to capitalize on that being very profitable and maybe turn off one of my unprofitable rigs to prevent my power bill from like starting to edge towards $700, because that's just a little extreme right now. Now, obviously, if GPU mining turns around, then I can flip that rig back on and it'll be super awesome. But for me, it just really doesn't make sense to mine at a loss, at least on that little inefficient rig, when I am not making a profit on it. So let's go downstairs. I'm going to turn that rig off. And then one other thing I'm going to do is on my coin generator rig here. And actually, I'm probably not going to do this because I'm in the middle of this test. But eventually, I'll tell you what my plan is. So I have a 3080 on this rig, and it is much more inefficient than 3060 Ti's and 3070s. Just to prove that here, let's pull up a calculator one last time. So for a 3070, we're getting 27.76 divided by 87 watts for an efficiency of 0.32. And then for our 3080, we're getting 38.33 divided by 141 for an efficiency of 0.27. In terms of percentages, that's essentially 15% less efficient than the 3070s. So what I will eventually do once my little test is complete is I will probably take one of these Samsung cards and swap it with my 3080 so that the 3 rigs that I'm continuing to run are all 3060 Ti's and 3070s, and my most inefficient cards, the 3080, will be on that test rig, the 6-card rig that I can just turn off and on as profitability changes. Now, another thing I could potentially do is put that 3080 on my Warthog rig and see how much extra hash rate I get from a 3080 with that 5900 instead of just a 3070, and then I could take that 3070 and put that back onto the mining rig. So maybe I'll do that in a future video, but let's go ahead and turn that thing off and say our goodbyes for now. So it's always a sad day, but you will come back on eventually. Definitely let me know, guys, down in the comments. Do you agree with me turning this rig off for now? Let me know what you think. And with that turned off, we are now at 3,700 and let's say 80 watts. So we did save about 600 watts, so not bad. It's also crazy how quick it heats up down here. It's already 87, and that was 75 when we started, and it's been not even 20 minutes. So pretty impressive what happens once you close off that window. If you want to know how you can save power in your mining farm and hopefully prevent having to turn rigs off, check out this video. I'll see you guys next time.